it was kind of like what you were talking about, Eric. There's been a lot of moments, but the one moment that really sticks with me that I vividly remember is when I left and then I relapsed and then I went to jail and getting out of jail and having to go back to my mom and and just all the weight of having let her down, let myself down, and to actually be going back to the Adonai house and losing a job and um, just I mean it, to me was it was when I really realized like the driving back to the Adonai house from Merritt Island, it was just I don't know, it was like I just realized like how serious it was and how much that I had really played with fire and how lucky I was to have such a good family and good people that cared about me and that would actually allow me to come back and to try and right the ship. And then when I got back and all the guys too, Alex and Jake and Will and all sending me words of encouragement, I'm glad you came back and all these different things. And in that moment, I really felt that these are my true brothers. And when I got back, and the next day, Jason came over and he looked me in the face and said, I know what your problem was. You were serving yourself. And when he said that, I was like, you know what? It's over, man. That to me it was, I could still control everything until that point. I mean, I've gone through the Adonai house, went through the steps and all those different things, but in my mind, in my twisted mind, I still thought that I could control it. I could, I'm smarter than this. But it's no joke, man. And God has a way of showing you, either you be obedient or you're gonna face the consequences. And Jason saying that stuff to me in that moment, I just something I still remember. I remember right now sitting in the kitchen when he said that and just thinking, damn, that mother effer smart, like he just.
Let me help you remember a little bit so you can really understand the totality of it, because you had done all that. We talked on the phone, and then you came, and now you're here. And I remember walking in, and there was a bunch of people in the kitchen, and you were sitting in the corner. And I said, "Did you unpack your bags? Because you can go pack them up, pack your bags up." I figured it out. I figured out what your problem was. You can go home. I can heal you right now. You were just like, ugh. Like, that's not the first thing I thought I was going to hear from this guy. In that moment in front of your brothers, here you've surrendered yourself to this, and here I come straight with the brick to the face right from get-go. But it wasn't the brick to the face of trying to hurt you. It was positioning you to start from the very beginning, from the right place, so you didn't miss a beat. And actually, God had given it to me on the drive over here just from my house. That's why I was thinking about, what the heck am I going to say to this guy? Because I remember the first time he walked in. He reminds me a lot of you, actually. A lot of like you. In his head, work squirrel Cajun, trying to work things out, yada, yada, yada. It wasn't about that. It was, that's it. That's a good one, man. I'll never forget that day.
There's a lot of them. I mean, I remember when I went, listen how crazy this is. I met that dude at that AA meeting with my sponsor. My sponsor's crazy. You want to talk about force to do it? he called me, I was the biggest piece of trash on the planet, you know, and I'm serious, man. I thought, I was like, damn, dude. I was like, damn. But you know what? I look back and I'm like, oh, that's good, man. It's good that he did that. It has purpose. But anyway, I met this guy at the AA meeting. He was taking JR and I to some different meetings, and one night JR couldn't go. So me and this guy go to this meeting, and then he's like, hey, we need to stop at my office, after the meeting. So I go into the office, I'm sitting there, I look over, there's a can of duster right on the floor. So he walks the other way, I start hitting the duster, I'm passed out, he wakes up, still doing the duster. Go back to the Adonai house, get dropped off, and I was like, man, I can't say nothing, I can't tell anyone, I wasn't going to tell nobody. A week later, I was holding it in, man, it was eating me alive, man, eating my lunch. I wasn't going to say nothing, man, I was trying to plan how I was going to get out and all these different things, but there's a Sunday night meeting with Josh, and literally, I sat at the table and started talking, and it just started flowing, dude. Like, I wasn't going to say nothing, but it just did. And I told all the guys how I relapsed and all this different things, and I didn't know what was going to happen, I didn't know if they were going to be like, get the hell out of here, but they didn't, I mean, basically, I remember Joe W. sitting me down there going, damn it, boy, you're going to die, boy. And serious, man. There's been a lot of moments, but like you said, there's that one moment, and for me, that one moment was when I came back, and I'm so glad I did, man. And for me lately, man, I've been staying in that place of gratitude, and remember how it was, there ain't nothing better to change your mood. And I remember sitting in that jail cell, knowing I'm at to face Fossler in 24 hours. Seriously, man, but listen, there's a lot of people that don't get these chances, man. They just don't. And I mean, I know for me, it really weighs on my heart, man, because I know what I have now. I know these things, man, and how close I see how precious life is, man. Hold my own son, watch him die in my arms, it's no joke, man. No joke.
That was a perfect example. Thanks for sharing all that, first off. But so did you see where he got in the moment there for a second? He started talking about it. He got to his place, transitioned from the humiliation to the humility, and then literally that's his internal dialogue that he just expressed externally that takes place from that position. That's the dialogue that immediately kicks in when you're in that spot is like, oh my God, how lucky I am to be where I'm at. I should be dead. Look at what I'm able to do and the opportunities that have been awarded to me. I mean, like it just starts flowing out of you because you're in that spot and you're able to see things for what they really are, what they should have been, what they could have been, and what they really are. And you're able to digest that in a way that's real. And then he just started taking the walk up to where he is. And as he's doing it, he's just boom, 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 picking up stuff. And he just went through one of the most difficult situations that he will ever come across. And he's able to view that from this perspective in the way that he does. That's how powerful this moment is. Because it's a moment where all statistics, everything that's supposed to happen did not happen. It's a point of a miracle.
Undeniable.
It's undeniable. It's when your miracle took place. Because you should have been dead, or I should have been dead, or I should have gone to prison, or I should have been divorced, or I should have been lost my job. I should have all that stuff is what should have happened. This is when all the statistics went out the window. And from that place, you can see things. Everything's miraculous from that place. Everything. I mean, there's nothing from that point of view that you can't see that's not a miracle. And that's why that moment is so crucial. And not everybody gets it. Like he said, not everybody gets that moment. Some people die. Some people wander around mediocre. Some people never get the opportunity to even have that moment to go to even visit once. And what we're doing is talking about teaching ourselves and working on the way. That's a cool thing, man. We get to go visit that place whenever the hell we want to. Whenever we feel like it, we can camp out there. And it's so, look at him right now. It's so huge, it can change an entire state of being in a moment, in a millisecond, to position you to your most powerful place as a human being. That's strong, man. That's cool. What can you not accomplish from that place?
Infinite possibilities.
Huh.
No doubt.
I wrote down a note as I was listening to him talk because for me, there's indicators, right? When I'm looking at stuff and I'm listening to stuff, is, in this place, when you make that transition, there's things that cannot and do not exist in that spot, right? Denial, pride, and here's a big one for me. Religion does not exist in that place.
Belief does not exist in that place.
Understanding,
Knowledge
knowledge,
does not
intelligence,
exist.
stories, masks, delusions, illusions, blame, shame, and guilt do not exist in that place. It is the holy of holies in your life. You want to get behind the veil? That's what we're talking about tonight. If you're going to use Torah terms or whatever you're going to talk about, that's behind the veil. That's the holy of holies in your life. Because in there is only purity. Eric, thanks, man.
These are tears of joy, by the way. They're not tears of sadness. They're self-reflection of what if I would have not shown up that day? What if I would have said no? What if the house would have been full? But see, I'm not in charge of all that. I'm just in charge of showing up, and the house wasn't full. And I did show up. And I did say yes. Not because it was something to do with me, it was just me being aware of myself and accepting my position in that current moment. And because I was willing to do that, that happened, that happened, that happened, that happened. And for me, it's just... I could have walked away from this a million times and had a million reasons. But I'm so grateful that I didn't.
Me too.
Me three.
We got time for probably one more person. Anybody else wants to go?
Yeah, I'll go. So, this is pretty much the hardest I've ever flown into this ocean. It was like 90 miles an hour from the guardrail, seatbelt on or anything. I had nodded out and woke up right before I was about to fly into the back of an 18-wheeler. And I just swerved, it was raining, and before I knew what was happening, boom! I fly into this guardrail on the side of 75. 11 o'clock at night. When I came to, I didn't know what was going on at first. I remember the first thing I did was made sure that the car was clean, so I knew what was coming next. once the adrenaline started dying down, I was like, what the hell am I doing with my life? I've been in plenty of sticky situations before where I almost died. But for whatever reason at that moment in time, my family was done with me, and I couldn't hide behind anything else. I had no trick up my sleeve, nothing I could tell myself, like, all right, here's what we're going to do next, and let's go do it. I had nothing. And once I realized that, I was like, I just wish I died in my car. They were, cops and all them, they're like, you should have died. And the whole car was like, just ribbons. I just had like a little scratch, and you think, oh, I'm so grateful to be alive. And I was like, no, I wish I died. It was crazy. So, I didn't know what to do. So, I was just going to start walking down the interstate. I didn't have anywhere to go. I had no money. And my sister just pulls up out of nowhere. I don't know how she found out where I was. No idea. And it's like, oh, take you to the hospital, drop you off. Right. Whatever. Right. So I go, and at this point I was like, I just wanted to die. I didn't want to keep going. Like I got nothing. I got nothing I can figure out to do next here. So the doctors come in, nurses and all that stuff, and they asked me to pee in a cup, and I told them, for whatever reason, I just let it out. I was like, yeah, I'm going to fail for this. And they're like, oh, okay. So they all leave, and I'm just like, in turmoil inside, but just quiet, dead quiet, And this guy comes in, the nurse, and he's like, hey, man, I was addicted to, I told him when I was on, he's like, I was in the same stuff as you for years and years and years. And he's like, there's a better life on the other side. And I've heard that story before, it's been told to me. For whatever reason, that time, he just kind of like grabbed my hand and it like feel like I got goosebumps. I felt the energy, just like something happened where I don't know. I was like, all right, I gotta do something here. And I was like, I've never actually seriously considered in my life doing anything. Getting out of that cycle. I've been living that kind of lifestyle since before I practically had hair down there, So it was never a thought that crossed my mind, at least not seriously. And that was the first time I was like 20 years old. I was like, I actually seriously considered doing something different. So I get into detox. And once the moment had faded away, I was already like, all right. I started second guessing myself. And for whatever reason, I got out, and I think the first place I came was here. Yeah, I came here. My sister found it. I don't know how she did, but some Mark Annie at her church. Some guy at her church gave her a card. It was Jason's card. So I pull up, and I had been here a while, but it's been a few years. But the last time I was here, my dealer lived about a half a mile that way. This is not a big place back then, so I was like, pull up right over there. I'm like, where the hell did you take me? It's a joke, right? So I walk up, and then he answers the door in like board shorts, a tank top, and like a flat billed hat, and he's wearing glasses on his side. I'm like, who's this guy? Are you serious? Like, what is this? Like, what? What's going on? So you know, he was just kind of, he was super busy. He just, you know, just like, yeah, come on in, walking around. Will was there and some other guy, and they were just like standing up this a little bit of the countertop. And we go into his back office, and he just, my sister starts sharing what's going on, and she's all emotional. And then he's like, so what's up, man? After he was talking for a little bit about what the house is about and all that. I think for the first time in a few years, a long time, I actually, all the second guessing and everything just kind of went out the window. I started crying a little bit, which it has not happened in a long time. Or else I'm done. I don't know what to do, so help me, please. Because I don't have anything. I don't have anything left to lose. And that whole process was the first time anything like that, where I've been broken, had ever happened in my life. Ever. All the other times before that were just, you're playing the game. You're being who you need to be to get what you want. That was the first time that I was actually like, no, this is what I want. This is what I need.
So let me ask you a question. All that stuff sounds great. But how did you go from that moment, if that moment was what you say it is, to making a decision that you would call the guy that gave you the opportunity, ma'am? Yes, ma'am. Over and over and over and over again.
Talking about what did you go from that?
Yeah, how do you, if this is your lowest place, I have a hard time believing that it had any kind of emotional anything other than it was your only opportunity and I was giving it to you. Because the guy that I began to mentor and spend time with started saying yes ma'am to me pretty quickly from that moment.
I was going to ask you the same question. And I remember when you first got here and coming to groups, and there was something that took place at some point in time, well after he got here,
Yeah.
where all of a sudden you came to group one night, and I remember I was like, well, who the hell's this guy? Nice to meet you. And something had transpired between point A and point B. Dave that didn't really want to participate, Dave that was still kind of cocky, Dave that was still calling him yes ma'am, and then the guy that showed up to the table all of a sudden one night and had a different perspective on stuff.
Yeah, what you just said too, for sure. So that moment happened, and that's a moment that I can go back to where
That's just a story, bro. That ain't the moment. I'm not trying to be hard on you, but I'm just telling you the facts.
It doesn't mean that moment.
That
doesn't
all
mean
sounds
anything.
good,
Yeah.
and it could have been, should have been the moment, but it wasn't.
What happened that made you change your? Something caused you to change at some point in time in the house. It was either a conversation with one of these guys, a low point where
Yeah. So
you had a reality
by the
check.
time I got to the house, I had that whole scenario where all those feelings happened. By the time I got here, not too long after that, though. I started just thinking I could yada yada yada. I got this. Let's do this.
Yeah,
But
but
still with that same old type of thing.
But
So-
what was the moment?
So I kept that up for a while, and he kept going harder, and harder, and harder, and harder, and harder, and harder, and after a certain amount of time, I can't even tell you how long it was, but I just said, "What the am I doing?" And I was so mad. I was like, why? Why am I making things so much harder on myself than I need to be?
What sparked that thought? What moment? What happened? I mean, was it when you were over digging trenches at the house and you busted some pipes? Or
Yeah,
was,
it must have been one of those times.
I mean, because I remember there was like, there was every time I came over, there was some type of beatdown session where you had screwed something up for like weeks after weeks after weeks.
When he flooded the boat around
Yeah, I mean, you know, I don't, and I'm not trying to be really. I mean, it's funny, but I'm not trying to be funny. I'm like, there's something that happened that made you think, shit, man. Like, you know, I've had it. You know, this.
I remember one day driving home, driving back here anyway. And he said, you know, can we stop and get some cigarettes? You know, I just remember saying to him, you know, I'm really tired of investing everything I have into a guy who doesn't give a shit about anything that's going on for him or anybody else. During the hardest time of my life, going through this cancer with my wife, and I got some punk kid that I am feeding, clothing, and buying cigarettes for, and he is responding to me with a yes ma'am. And I said, you might want to think about seeing things a little bit different, or so I don't remember exactly, but I remember specifically that conversation ending while we were stopping at the gas station, and I'm handing him money to go inside and buy cigarettes.
I remember what you told me. You said to him, as you said, you might want to think about not saying yes, ma'am, to the guy you're asking to buy you cigarettes.
Sounds about right.
It was several of those. It was like months, man. I don't know. I like months of those moments probably.
No, there was one. That was it for me. Like, you're getting out of the car and you're homeless because I'm done with dealing with it. I have given you everything, and I'm over it. It was somewhere in there. See, you can't be in this vague area. You've got to allow yourself to go inside and accept it, or find it, or have it be revealed to you, or whatever. Because, dude, I got plenty of those stories. I was in Tampa General with my lungs bleeding from smoking crack. I mean, I got endless mom coming to the jailhouse to speak to me over the phone. I got endless stories.
Yep. And many far more epic than the one that actually changed you.
Way more epic. But there was a specific moment that I can go to, that I can remember vividly, that changed everything. You have got to find that moment. and you've got to be able to consume it, and you've got to stop allowing yourself to live in this vague state. It's a state that has allowed you, it's the state that got you up to the moment and allowed you to make it through all the really tough things that you never talk about. Like your dad, like going to juvie, like all these other terrible things that you've gone through in your life. That state of being vague has allowed you to not deal with the emotion of life. But it isn't going to allow you to continue in restoration, because restoration is about a perfect clarity and understanding and self-awareness. And it all begins from a position that changed it all. And so allow yourself to go there. Allow your Maker to reveal it to you. Ask Him to. Because you got to be able to find it. And it's not what I think, or what Eric thinks, or what anyone else thinks. It's simply authentic to what it is. It's undeniable. For me, for you, that's when it was, because you changed immediately. You went from this punk-ass kid who thought he was something to somebody who realized that he was nothing. And immediately became grateful. You went from humility to humbleness. And then you began to be grateful and act it out in the way in which you went about your day. And you began to turn into the young man that I'm proud of today. But it's the reason why you can't get yourself back on track. Because you don't have that point. It's not because you're failing or you've done something wrong. You have to allow yourself to be in a position for it to be revealed to you. You have to bring the walls down. You have to be in a complete place of submission. And the more you continue to do that, the more you will find these moments and begin to understand and find out who you are and where you came from and what makes you tick. You are a master at playing the role. You're so much like me. I have a tattoo here, and it's not because it's a cool thing. It was because that's who I was, because I had mastered the ability to fake life and to be whoever I needed to be. And it was almost my demise. And you are the same way. You really are. You need to find that place. And you really can't find it. You can just find the right position for it to be revealed to you.
You've created a blind spot to it right now.
So you've got to let down your
A
guard.
scotoma.
The very so exactly what is this? The very thing that kept you alive is what's killing you right now.
Yes.
That's the skill set you developed it to keep you alive. To deal with going to juvenile, your dad's situation. This is the skill set you developed. You've got to let go of that skill set so you can see what you need to see. And then and that's going to mean, like Jason said, letting the walls down and letting all this rush in and all this rush out. And then see what all's there. You know, and that's what he's here for, and these guys are here for, is to help you pick up those pieces and figure out what needs to go in in the poo-poo toilet and flush down, and what you need to kind of scrape back up and keep with you.
You don't want to walk away from here playing the script of who you think you should be. Because you'll end up coming back. It's not scary.
Oh man.
It's not that that's a bad thing. You're still here. You don't have to go through that. But that's it. It's in there. And I got word for you. It's going to be emotional.
Yeah.
So get ready to cry. Because you've stopped up the dam. I mean, you said you cried in my office. I don't remember you crying. I've never seen you cry. And I've been harder on you than most. And it was the simple fact because you're exactly like me and you had to be with me every single day during one of the most difficult times of my life. The most difficult time of my life. So you've been stuffing this emotion for a long time. You just watched me cry. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you think I look like a pussy or I'm weak or I'm something like that. But when that happens, man, for me, it's like ecstasy. Because I know who I am, where I am, why I am, and where I came from in that moment. And it's just like, I accept that. It's just, nothing else matters at that moment. And it comes out. It's joy. Sometimes it's pain. But it's got to come out, one way or the other.
I don't think
For
it's
me,
a lack of
it's
want.
ultimately, okay.
I don't think it's a lack of want on your part. It's a lack of conditioning. I mean, it causes conditioning. You've taught yourself every time you get close to opening up or opening that floodgate, there is a conversation that takes place in your brain that causes you to try to take back control. It won't let you open that door. It'll let you crack it. It'll let you peek out the window next to it. It'll let you listen to the side of it, but it won't let you open it. It stops you every time because you taught yourself that growing up. How old you went to juvie?
15.
Okay, so probably before that then. You taught yourself how to keep that door shut so that nobody can get in and nothing can get out.
Did you go to juvie before or after your dad passed?
Before. This was after all the crazy stuff started happening.
Yeah.
Oh, you got to kick that door open. And you can't listen. Like I said, you're not going to be able to listen to yourself. You're really going to have to get in and just force it. And keep talking, like he said, keep talking, keep sharing, keep opening up until it comes out. Because you've got to get past that subconscious conversation or lock that's on that door.
Self-preservation.
Oh,
That's all it was.
So, you're just trying to protect yourself. And it worked for many years.
It worked
Otherwise,
for a
you
lot
kept
of
doing
people.
it. Self-defeating behaviors, the whole fact of why we use them, why we get stuck with them, is for a self-defeating behavior to be a self-defeating behavior, it had to have worked at one point in time. Or you wouldn't have used it again. You would have found something else. So, it worked great for you. But now you're too big for it. You're gonna cry so much, it's gonna be funny. You got so many tears in that bucket, man. But it'll feel so good. It'll feel so good. Dave might end up being one of those guys that just walks around hugging people all the time.
You gotta let that tough guy thing go, man. Ain't gonna do nothing for you.
Some sleep time.
Is it bad that I cry like every other day? Or
No.
like,
Depends on what you're crying about.
Yeah. Is this when you're watching soap operas, or is it?
Yeah, you might want to shut
If
your
it's
door.
during the Young and the if it's like during Young and the Restless or something like that, it's not.
Put a door.
It's
on.
not
My door's
cool.
a little too open.
There's yeah.
The funny thing is that when I was growing up, I cried all the time. All the friggin' time. And then I got to a place
Mm-hmm.
like that.
I
And
didn't.
I didn't cry for
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah.
Until I got into my place.
You tell yourself how to turn your emotions off.
Yeah.
That's what I.
And I even did it in recovery for a while too.
Mhm.
Because this business is a bitch. And it's tough. And here you're trying to, like, when we did the Salvation Army, here we've been hired to do what we do because we're the best at what we do. And even the people that hired us hated us. And so that my wall went back up again in recovery for a long time. And, until Dr. Jeffries unlocked the gate.
The doc in on you.
And then it all opened up again. And I knew who I was, where I was, and what I was supposed to be doing. It'll sneak up on you.
Mm-hmm.
This guy, he's done it too.
Yep. I just had to unlock a couple recently and come back up. Relocked. I didn't realize I installed the locks on them. I had to go take the locks back out.
I know.
I'm taking the hinges off this time.
And we think we're doing all the right things. We're checking all the boxes. But luckily we built enough skill to keep us, or not allow us to go back to where we started, and doesn't let us get too far away to really wreck things. And
Yeah.
we keep ourselves surrounded by people that are willing to kick the effing door down. And I'm one of those people. I'm willing to do it. And I'm lucky to have people around me that are willing to do it. To me. And sometimes I have to call those people over just so that they can do it. Because I know it needs to be done. Something that you continue to use and do for the rest of your life. And if you deny it, then one day you get hit by a freaking train. And you say, what the heck happened? How did I end up here? I was doing everything I thought I was doing. Well, why the hell were you walking on the train tracks then? Well, no one told me that I was walking on the train tracks. Well, did you have anyone around you to tell you that you were walking on the train tracks? Did you call anyone to tell you that you were walking on the train tracks? No. Okay.
Probably didn't have anybody around you.
Right.
If anybody around you, they'd tell you.
So it never ends. This thing never ends. If you want to continue to move forward. And last week we already decided, Eric told you, that you're all very, very, very special, that God chose you for this. We're not sheep. Bah. We're not. We're lions.
Infinite possibilities.
Infinite possibilities. I'm gonna watch the end of that video over and over again.
Right out.